That, of course, is the voice of Frank Fleming, Frank the Tank.
There he is.
Today we did the walk, and it's going to be launched tomorrow, so we're here to promote
Tomorrow,
it.
10 a.m. will be premiering. So it's going to be a good one. It was an entertaining walk right around this area there.
Mm-hmm.
And the walks have been great. I'm getting more and more people. We got a lot of great guests lined up, too, after this. It's like...
And the update...
Anyone as big of a guest, though, as Don LaGreca. Like, come on.
You have. You make him nervous, because he's had Saquon Barkley, he's had Boomer Esiason.
Saquon Barkley.
I'm up there, but let's be honest.
2,000 yards. I mean, he should get MVP consideration.
Yep.
And maybe he wins a Super Bowl ring. We had Marcus Freeman took Notre Dame to the national championship game.
That's a big one.
With Jack Kaiser and Riley Mills. Also walked with me that same day.
And you going to Super Bowl?
I'll be there the Super Bowl week doing a few walks next week.
That's great.
Down to 316 after the 16 weigh-in.
Excellent.
314.
Which is mad. That's awesome. And you were up to 500 pounds, right?
I was 500 pounds 2015, 2016.
So what, and I know you've told this story before, but I'm just curious, how did it start? What inspired it? Was it simply just one day, Forrest Gump just decided to start running one day, and then he just began...
Well, Alan, can we start? Do you mind if we start even before that? Just real quick. How did we get to 500 pounds?
Well, that sounds easy.
Just a lot of just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's how you get to 500 pounds.
Yeah, that sounds really easy.
Not going anywhere. Just going to and from work and just going home and plopping in front of the TV and eating, building the sports encyclopedia, which, I ran that for 20 years. It did its job. And just doing nothing, not getting around, not moving. The only exercise I got in those days was maybe going to 2 Met games a month or going to Devil games. So that's the only thing
moving
remotely close to exercise I got.
When growing up, were you active? Were you an active kid growing up, or what?
I wasn't very active.
No. Okay.
No.
So this is new to you then. That to be active then is
Yes.
like a whole lifestyle, a real lifestyle change.
Yes, it is.
So what inspired that first day of? Was it you just by yourself? I'm gonna go for a walk.
Well, the first when I got 500 pounds, I got MRSA. And I lost some weight after MRSA because I was really laid up in the hospital for a week. I didn't feel good for 6 weeks. I missed 6 weeks of work. Then it got me down. Then I had to rant a year later. Stu started basically trying to encourage me to start eating better. Stu Feiner, that is, of course. And then I started walking around a little bit. It's still not full time, but I'm starting to walk around. I do a little bit more physical. I got under 400 finally. Then the pandemic hit, and I shot back up to 469. Went full time bar stool. Started walking around a little bit. Then I got a little sidetracked, and I was at 383. And we went to a Notre Dame game. Shane Gillis invited me to a Notre Dame game, and Shane Gillis was basically laid the kindling down for the walk. And we parked in a spot, and we had to walk a long way to that stadium. And then we had to walk a long way back. And I think I got 20,000 steps that day. And we're thinking that, if I do this every day, I could start losing some real poundage. And about a week later, we started the daily walks, and we're fast approaching 500 straight days. And unless something changes with my schedule, I'm going to be doing my 500 walk in Central Park next Saturday, the day before the Super Bowl, and at noon. And people are trying to join me at Strawberry Fields and walk with me for Walk 500.
That's fantastic.
Obviously, you're able to walk. What are some of the things that you can do now that you couldn't do when you were 500 pounds?
I couldn't walk much. It was really a struggle walking. Maybe I'd walk maybe about 100 feet. I'd try to park as close to the door wherever I can. If I was doing laundry at the laundromat, it'd be a struggle. It'd be getting groceries into my apartment was a struggle. Doing everything was a struggle. It was like when I'm walking around the grocery store, the cart was almost like a crutch. And everything I can just walk as less as possible because it was just every step was labor. It was hard. Going to Met games was very difficult. I'd do my best to try to avoid it, and especially when stairs came involved. So it was very hard, and I could actually go upstairs somewhat now. I have a little bit of a knee issue, but that's basically just old age too. But I could do a lot more. I was swinging a wiffle ball bat a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I
saw that over at the Met City Field, right?
At City Field, I actually made good contact. I mean, there's a video for me from 2022 swinging at the Louisville Slugger Museum versus me now, and it's you could tell that my whole body just moves differently, and everything moves differently. Clothes fit differently. I was size 69 waist. Now I'm size 58, and that might be a little too big. I was size 6X shirts. Now I'm fitting into 2X sometimes.
So you're on the path, man. Let me ask you this, Frank. So is doing the interviews and the walks and working with Barstool, is that now your full-time gig?
Yes, it is.
And what was your full-time job prior to all of this?
Prior to 2020, well, up until 2020, I was a court clerk in Essex County, New Jersey for 16 years.
Wow. I mean, what an amazing story. Beyond the weight loss, which is amazing too. But how cool is it that you, for 16 years, had a real, everyday, hard, go-to-work job, and now you just get to talk about sports and with athletes and celebrities?
It's the absolute best. It's great. You know, I think about people who don't like coming to work or who try to avoid work, and this isn't work. This is play. I mean, I went to Chicago 2 weekends in a row, and I'm watching football with John Gruden. I mean,
that's crazy. It's crazy.
That's my life.
It's all of this that came to be because of a moment that you had where you was like any other New Yorker, any other person in the tri-state area that deals with mass transit, is you just got fed up.
Yeah.
You had your moment, your breaking moment, and it just happened to be caught on video.
Yeah, it's I've been dealing with New Jersey Transit most of my life. I didn't learn how to drive until I was 29 years old, 2004. So most of my life I'm taking buses, I'm taking trains, I'm taking the little light rail, and it's always something. It's always something. And it's never improved. They got trains. I was on a train today that was like the train looks like it's about to fall apart. It's like 40 years old. You have these old trains, and they wonder why they break down all the time. And then the tracks aren't well maintained. Amtrak doesn't do a wonderful job. Maintaining the tracks. We got this bridge. We got this they're finally they're replacing the bridge. It's called a Portal Bridge. It goes over the Hackensack River. And the bridge has to open. It swings open. And when it swings open, it gets stuck. And then that will stop the whole transit system. And I've been on a train that was one time right before that bridge, and I saw these guys walking out with a big sledgehammer trying to hammer this bridge back.
Just trying to get the rails lined up with a sledgehammer.
Yeah,
this is what we're doing in 2024.
I mean, they're finally replacing. The new bridge.
You sound like me talking about the Cross Bronx Expressway.
Right. So you melt down on video.
You want to hear it real quick?
Yeah.
Can we hear it?
Take us back.
We only have very quick. Yeah, very quick.
New Jersey Transit is the absolute worst.
So what was your end game when you did that? Obviously, you didn't think it was parlay into all this, but what were you hoping to accomplish when you posted that video?
Just to get off some steam and just like New Jersey Transit, like let the people know that this is this is unacceptable. That the fact that the transit system fails time and time again. It failed yesterday. It was failing, Tuesday there was problems. I was on a train that was delayed 30 minutes getting into New York on Tuesday. It's constantly problematic, and it's just ridiculous.
Well, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to walk with you and to meet you and to get to know your story. And
it was a pleasure, and
everybody will get a chance to see it tomorrow. We talked about everything. We talked Devils. We talked Pete Alonso.
Love it.
Love it.
Talked to everything, man. And you know what, Vent? Because when I did the show with Kay, he'd always say to me, calm down, you're going to have a heart attack. I'm like, no, this is why I won't have a heart attack. You don't want to keep that stuff
yes,
in.
It's
so when
authentic.
the Devils blow a 2-goal lead in the third, let it out.
Yes, exactly. That's why I let it out, And I let it out, and then sometimes maybe it will linger a day or two. But you know what?
Well, that's not good. But you don't want it to fester.
Yes. Well, if it's a losing streak, it will fester.
Right.
But
all right,
the frustration is...
I got to ask real quick, because I know you're a Mets fan, a diehard Mets fan. I got to ask this real quick. If Pete Alonso doesn't get re-signed by the Mets, are you going to flip out, or are you fine with it?
I think the Mets have handled the Pete Alonso affair correctly. I think Steve Cohen is doing it correctly. I think I trust Stearns. It's not their fault. It's Scott Boris's fault. I think Pete Alonso wants to be a Met. I just think that he overvalued his market. That the fact that he is not signed, that tells me the Mets are playing with the market. They're not bidding against themselves. They're not going to give him a bad contract. He shouldn't get more than 3, maybe 4 years to be a thank you. But this guy's... You could see the signs. This guy's going to be a guy that his career could go down like this.
And I don't want to landlock first base if they can get Vlad.
Yes, exactly. And maybe it will hurt them in 2025. But I think the Mets' focus is not about winning one season. I think now they want it to be something sustainable that hasn't been a part of this organization for 35 years.
Look at that. A sane Mets take by a Mets fan. Right? It does exist. Frank, thank you.
All right.
Jenks, thank you.
Pleasure.
Good to see you guys.
You're an inspiration.